there, welcome back to another episode of Figuring It Out. I'm your host Aggie, and this is the place where we have real and from the heart conversations. If you're a first-time visitor and haven't yet subscribed, please make sure to subscribe, like and share. Please remember to hit the bell button as well so that you get a notification every time I put up a new episode. Today, I would like to talk to you about how there is a godly purpose behind those things that you look at as weaknesses in yourself. Let's figure it out. A lot of people tend to make New Year's resolutions, and 2 weeks into January, the majority fall back into their old habits. There are various reasons, mostly a lack of motivation, but also because our brains seem to or tend to magnify our weaknesses, therefore making us feel like we're not able to achieve the things that we have set ourselves up for. And I was reading my Bible the other day and I stumbled across 2 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 10, and it became the inspiration for this episode. It says, "His letters were weighty and forceful, but in person he was very unimpressive. His speaking amounted to nothing." This verse is talking about Paul, and basically saying that in person he was very unimpressive and that his speaking amounted to nothing. And that provoked something in me, because I was like, what? Paul? The Paul who wrote like all the letters up in the Bible, like the letters to the, Romans, Corinthians, Galatians, and so on and so forth, Ephesians, Philippians. The Paul who wrote all those letters seemingly was unimpressive, and his speaking amounted to nothing. As I pondered a little bit more about this verse, I realized that actually it might be the fact that Paul couldn't speak impressively that he resorted to writing. And as a result, we're all benefiting from the letters that he left behind. For me, that is extremely profound. It means that the very thing that seemed like a weakness was actually the thing that opened the door for him to shine in an area that continues to bless us until this day. I almost feel sure that if he had been able to speak, we wouldn't have the letters that he left behind. So before you give up on your goals, and before you get distracted and just kind of like go down this negative spiral of telling yourself all the things that you cannot do, I hope that this share will encourage you to actually realize that there's purpose, there's intent behind those things that you see as weaknesses, that the things that God left out of your life, the things that he did not give you in huge mass, actually also serve a purpose, and perhaps an extremely huge purpose, if you will just awaken your spirit to that revelation. I remember that Oprah Winfrey was sharing about how she has had this obsession with losing weight, and in her younger years she was she was dreaming of having this role in The Color Purple. And later she shares the story. I'm sure you can just kind of like go on YouTube and search for it, and the story will pop up. But if she had been even say 5 kilograms lighter than the weight she was when she was selected for the color purple, she wouldn't have gotten the role. So the very thing that she looked at as a weakness actually turned out to play in her favor. Another person whose seeming weakness turned out to play as a strength is Joyce Meyer. She was always accused of talking too much. And today we know that Joyce Meyer is a world famous preacher who has also authored quite a number of books that have positively impacted so many people's lives. A personal favorite of her books is The Battlefield of the Mind. You know that I'm very huge on the mind, understanding the mind, and putting down or shutting down the negative voices so that you can step up and really soar and become everything that God called you to be. That is a huge topic for me. I'm passionate about it, so I highly recommend, if you've never heard of this book, please take the opportunity to check it out. I'm 100% sure that it will bless you. Another person that has basically been criticized, but yet the very thing that he's criticized for has proven to be a blessing to so many, is Joel Osteen. He was always criticized for being, you know, too nice, too positive, too emotional, cries about everything, is always grateful, thanking God, he feels too much. And yet today, that very thing that some critics have, you know, been so loud about, is the very thing that he is using to encourage millions of people. Every day he's, you know, speaking a positive word that has uplifted millions upon millions. Yeah, so whatever you think that you are weak at, I really highly encourage you to step back and realize that God doesn't make mistakes. He calls you a masterpiece, and the things that he put in you are just as important as the things that he did not put in you. And if you can just appreciate that, then you will realize that the very things that you seem to be weak at are the things that actually will serve as the stepping stone to you going the next level. So yeah, let this encourage you. If you're not very good at talking, perhaps you will write the best poetry, perhaps you will write the best novels, I do not know. If you've been accused of talking so much, maybe God is preparing for you a platform where your talking is going to be purposeful and useful to other people. And there are so many other examples. There's that kid that was always, for instance, made fun of for cracking jokes in class. People like Cedric the Entertainer, or people like Steve Harvey. And yet that very thing that people used to tease them about and saying, hey, you're never going to be taken seriously, is the very thing that opened up platforms for them. So I hope that this encourages you, and I hope that you step out and dare. People like myself are rooting for you, because there's a gift that God put in you, and I think it blesses him the most if you brave it and step out and use those gifts and talents that he put in you, including the weaknesses, because there is purpose in them. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one. I continue to wish you a very, very happy and prosperous new year. God bless you. Bye-bye.